everybody. It's been a while. I'm late today. I've been doing these sort of Tuesdays and Fridays, but I'm running very late. I usually do them in the morning, but I've got a lot of deadlines going on, so I've been behind. My bad. So I do them when I can. I will get back to the Tuesdays and Fridays, I promise. But today is Tuesday Tip Day, and since I've been doing them at Tuesdays and Fridays since I started, I want to talk a little bit about some tips for messaging and storytelling based on conversations. Hello, thank you for joining. I want to mention a couple of tips that popped up just in the normal course of conversations today with different people. So I wanted to share some of those things. So we'll talk a little bit about messaging, talk a little bit about storytelling, and then tell you what's going on that you might be interested. Actually, I'm going to flip that. I changed my mind. I'm going to tell you what's going on first this week that you might want to be aware of. Hello, Lisa. Let's talk about what is going on later this week. On Thursday, I've got Jason Miller joining me on the podcast. We'll be talking about his journey from the music industry to becoming a content rock star at LinkedIn, and we're going to ask him about his journey. And we're going to talk to him about how to find your content voice. One of the most powerful things you can do is make your content distinct. And that means putting your personality into your content. Well, I've got the ways that I think about it, and I've known Jason now for a few years. And he's going to join us on the podcast on Thursday. So I will send that out again today, I promise. Friday, I'm so excited about this on Friday. So super excited. So Tim Washer and I are both comic improvisers trained in improv comedy. We're both marketers. We are getting together with one of my other favorite people, Brian Fanzo. Yay! And we are going to have a blab on Friday, the 8th at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And we're going to talk about ways to add humor and fun to your live streaming video. How do you do that? Well, there's a lot of ways, and there's companies that are using it in a lot of very innovative ways. You don't see too many people having fun using a lighthearted sensibility. So we are going to talk about that on Friday. Again, Tim Washer, Brian Fanzo, and me, we are going to have a great old time. I am grateful because Tim Washer also has that improv background, and I'm also grateful because Brian Fanzo is probably the only other person I've met that talks faster than I do. Yay! I am the reason both the mute button and decaf coffee were invented, and I know this, and it's okay. But Brian Fanzo is a man after my own heart. He's wonderful, and he is so passionate about what he does with live streaming video. So I hope you join us for thank you, love back at you. I hope you join me on Thursday, and then you join us on Friday for that really wonderful blab at 1 p.m. Pacific. All right, now I want to talk about the update on my book. I will have a title hammered out soon. We're meeting with the publishers to hammer out the title, and as of next week, I'll be able to announce the title of the book that's coming out in June, and it's Improvisation, Principles of Improvisation Meets Storytelling, Business Storytelling. That's the book that's coming out, so stay tuned for that. Now let's talk about some messaging and storytelling tips that kind of have been percolating for me based on conversations that I've been having in the last week or so with different folks, people in the industry, people who work in a company in branding, practitioners of story, and let me just share some things that have come up repeatedly. So one thing when you think about messaging clarity is not just using simple language, but one thing. What's the one thing that you know that if your customers knew it would save them a lot of headache, would make their world different, would make their world better? I am probably like you, like a lot of you, you're probably overwhelmed, and you're probably thinking that I can't read one more post that promises 30 or 40 or 50 different tips. I can't either. So think about the one thing that you know, if you really want messaging clarity. What's one thing that you're so steeped in, that your knowledge base is so amazing in, that you know more than just about anybody else, that you think if the world knew this, it would make a huge difference? Focus your messaging on that. Think about the clarity of that message, and if it's just one message that you can drive home, what message do you want to own? A good friend of mine says, what conversation out there in the world do you want to be part of? Do you want to own? Do you want to define? Think about the conversation that you want to own and create content and messaging around that. So think conversations, think engagement, think what problem am I solving, and how can I message how I'm different and how I'm helping people solve that problem. I think that's really the essence of marketing. What problem are you solving? What conversation do you want to own? So that's really important. Go figure that out, and you will spare yourself a lot of headache in marketing. And I think you'll really connect with your audiences a lot better. So I think that's really important to do. Secondly, make sure that however you do it, you are consistent in your big company story and your content strategy. All the content pieces that you're putting out map back to and advance that company story. And I talk about this a lot. I did a module for marketing profs on story strategy because I think every company should have a story strategy. Make sure that message and whatever stories you're telling out there advance the big overarching story of your company. The thing that I always come back to is I think your overarching big business story is the strategic GPS for your business. So if you don't have that nailed down, you'll find that your content can easily become fragmented. And it happens. It happens to everybody. It happens to big companies, small companies, and everybody in between. So I think that's a really, really important thing to do. The other thing is make sure along the way you're always designing and creating content for your ideal customer. And I know this seems like so obvious, but I see people get fragmented. And I've seen this a lot in the last couple of weeks. I've seen a lot of fragmentation when people are trying to chase a lot of different target markets, but maybe one market is only 20% of your sales and you're spending a disproportionate amount of time creating content for that target market. So make sure that if, 60-70% of your market is X, that's the preponderance, and that's where you're spending the bulk of your time creating content for that audience. That's a really important thing. It's a really important thing to make sure that you are designing for your ideal audience. That is just the easiest way. And I'll leave you with one final thought. I'm seeing a lot recently, a lot of marketing coming in my inbox where the marketing is it's important to create a sense of urgency in your marketing, but one of the things that I've seen that's really kind of a little bit disturbing is I see an increasing trend in marketing. We're trying to create a disruption to the status quo. So we're trying to create a sense of urgency to get people to act and to buy. But I'm seeing a lot of things coming into my inbox that are, hey, buy now or it's too late. Why haven't you taken advantage of the offer I sent you? I can't believe you haven't acted. And I've sent you this offer 3 times and you still haven't acted. And I'm seeing this guilt and shame and approach that kind of beats people up. And it's a marketing tactic to get people, push them off center or off the status quo into the buy camp. I get it. I just think that it's not necessarily a feel-good type of experience. I think you may find later that if people aren't ready and they feel pushed, that there's a disconnect between their satisfaction level based on what they bought. So just when you're thinking about your messaging, what experience do you want people to have when they buy, and you want them to feel good about the buy? And it just seems like it's obvious, but there's a lot of things I'm seeing lately out there in a very noisy world that people are trying anything, and being on the receiving end of marketing like that, I know how it makes me feel, and I would never knowingly do that with any customers or prospects. I think that's just a no-win situation. So the big tip for today, if we step back, is a couple things. What conversation do you want to own? What do you want to own out there? If you want to be known as the person that helps chief financial officers save time on closing the books every month, and it goes from 3 weeks out of every month to just 1 week, you've saved a tremendous amount of time. How do you value that? Focus your marketing on that message. Pick one main message and really come at it different ways, but move the needle on one conversation at a time. If you're moving around from conversation to conversation, I solved this problem, I solved this problem, I solved this problem, you don't have enough time to make a dent in any one problem. For me, I work with companies and I help them cut the jargon and turn that into a compelling story. I also facilitate, and I can help people use some of the tools in my toolbox or improv, and I can help them come up with new ideas for content. So the work that I do is actually very simple in the world, but I focus on those main conversations. I can't have a lot of conversations on every moving target in marketing, because then I become very fragmented, and I become very diluted in my potency. So I wish you tremendous potency, marketing potency. I wish you success with that. I hope you'll join us again on Thursday. We're going to talk to Jason Miller. Super excited. On Friday, I get to talk to Brian Fanzo and Tim Washer. And anytime I get to talk about something fun and using humor, it makes me a happy camper. So everybody, thanks for joining me. As always, you can send your questions in, and I know this was a spur of the moment thing today. Usually I'm in the morning, so I'm off my consistent schedule with this book thing. Deadlines. I will get back to the Tuesday, Friday, 10:30, 11 o'clock, somewhere in their time. And if you've got questions, as always, you can send them to me at Kathy, Kathy, at keepingithuman.com. Let me know what you want to see. What do you want to talk more about? You guys, sometimes it's great to get emails from you guys on what you want me to talk about, what you want to address. So own the conversation, message about the conversation you would like to own in the world. I think that's a really incredible tip. All right, everybody. We will see you Friday, I guess. And maybe if I've got time to make up for some lost time, I might just do a surprise little Periscope after I talk to Jason on Thursday. All right, everybody. Take care. Be good. Keep it human. Bye.